My name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman and Associates. Our firm has a primary focus on family law issues here in Michigan. And today we're continuing our video series designed to educate and inform the public, so please subscribe to our channel. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between one party staying and one party going from the marital home during the divorce. A lot of people say, well, does it make a difference if I go or I stay? The real question is, make a difference to whom and for what? If a person is wondering, should I go or should I stay because I'm afraid that if I leave the marital home during the divorce, I will somehow give up my rights to it, as we have covered in prior videos, they don't have to worry about it. There's no concept of abandonment of the property as such. So they don't have to worry about whether or not they stay or go during the divorce. Whatever equity they had before, they're still going to have. That's not really the issue. Where the issue comes up is when there's kids involved. Because when there's kids involved, you have to ask, should I stay or should I go? And what impact might it have on custody? You see, so if the parties already have a custody agreement, for example, it might not matter as such. But if they don't, if they both intend to ultimately ask the court for full custody, one of the things the court's going to look at is how have the parties interacted so far with the kids? What's the level of disruption in the kids' lives if they take custody from one and give it to the other? How's it going to work? So if somebody picked up, left the kids with the other parent, and then later on wants to come back and say, well, I want custody of the kids, the other person's unsafe, well, they're going to have to answer some difficult questions. Like, if it's so unsafe with dad, why did you leave the kids with him for 8 months? And the fact that you'll say, well, I didn't have the money to get an apartment big enough for all of us, will not be sufficient excuse. Okay? Financial reason is never reason to put the kids in harm's way. The court will therefore conclude that the kids aren't in harm's way. The court might also conclude that the less disruptive thing would be kind of to leave the kids where they are so they don't have to transition to a new place. So you're going to be very, very careful about leaving and not taking the kids with you. Now let's look at it from the other standpoint. What if you're getting divorced and you depart and you take the child with you? How does that play out? Well, the good thing about doing that is that in a later custody battle, nobody will ever be able to say that, why should you have the custody? You abandoned the kids. I left, that's true, but I took my child with me. I cared so much about my child, I couldn't possibly consider leaving without taking him. So that's going to speak well for you. On the flip side, if the other person who now is in the empty house because the child is gone, if they're going to try and assert a claim for custody, well, they're going to have to answer that question. They're going to have to answer, if you're so concerned about your child, why'd you let your child go with the other parent? If you're worried that the other parent is a drug addict and an alcoholic, why is your kid with them? You see, so the court has heard all of this before. The court has seen all the arguments. The court is not overly persuaded by people who are trying to hornswaggle the court. The court's pretty wise about these things. So they're going to look at what happened with the child and how did the parties react with respect to the child before the trial begins, right? Before the court is giving that level of scrutiny. So does it matter if one of you moves out or not? May or may not matter as it relates to the house, but does it matter if you move out as it relates to the child? It certainly does matter. Now, having said that, let's say you have to move out because of abuse. Well, move out, but don't leave your child in a condition of abuse. File an appropriate motion. Tell the court, I have to leave because of abuse. I want my child to go with it. Get the court involved in that sooner rather than later. Don't wait eight months till the trial and then have to answer to the court. How come you left your child in a questionably dangerous environment? Now, if you have any questions about that, reach out and we'll be glad to help you out.